The International Federation of Women Lawyers (FIDA) has given an appraisal of the participation of women in the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections held nationwide. The president of the group, Amina Agbaje, who decried the low involvement of women in security provisions during the elections, also noted a large turnout of women in most states of the country.
With regards to participation of female electoral officials, we observed about 47.9% had more than 2 female electoral officials. 39.4% had less than 2 officials, while 12.7% had no female officials. 26.8% had more than 4 security personnel. 22.5% had 3 security personnel. 28.2% had 2 security personnel, while 22.5% had either one or no security presence at the polling units. Females were observed not fully mainstreamed by relevant security agencies in the polling units visited. Statistics from the field indicate that no female security official was seen in 49.3%. 33.8% of the polling unit had less than 2 female security personnel, while only 16.9% had above 2 female security officials. Furthermore, security personnel were found armed at polling units in about 18.7% of the polling units observed. However, in 81.7%, security personnel were not armed. In 88.7% of the polling units, women felt very secure in the polling units, while women in 9.9% of the polling units experienced some level of insecurity. FIDA Nigeria observed a large turnout of female voters in about 66.2% of the polling units observed. In polling units 006, Ward 2, Kaima Local Government, Kwara State. In Unit 007, Ward 2, Mafa Local Government, Borno State, women were observed in good numbers exercising their franchise. In 94.4% of the polling units visited, no incidents of underage voting was seen by female. However, in 5.6% of the polling units observed, underage voting was witnessed. For instance, in polling Unit 003, Ward 1, Zaria Local Government, young girls were observed clearly below the stipulated age voting. At polling Unit 001, Magajingari, Jama'a Local Government of Kaduna State, priority voting was not observed as elderly women were not given special considerations. However, at polling Unit 002 and 003, Ward 7, Igabi Local Government, an aged woman was observed given priority. In 84.5% of the polling units visited, we observed that INEC ensured that separate queues were created for women to exercise their franchise. However, such were not existent in 15.5% of the polling units visited at INEC, made no provisions. Neither were no forms of enforcement by security agencies. Across most polling units within our purview, the bimodal voters accreditation system was largely functional, which aided accreditation and the voting process. In 91.5% of the polling units visited, the Beavers machine was highly functional. However, in 8.5% of the polling units observed, experienced technical difficulty with limited women participation. Vote trading. FIDA Nigeria observed few disturbing incidents of vote trading across 1.6% of the polling units. However, 98.6% witnessed no incidences of vote trading in the polling units observed, especially as our observers reported that about 16% of the polling units were to have witnessed voting inducements.